to enforce the criminal laws of this state,
I, Paige Shell, do solemnly swear that I will be alert and vigilant to enforce the criminal laws of this state,
that I will not be influenced in any manner on account of personal bias or prejudice,
that I will not be influenced in any matter on account of personal bias or prejudice,
that I will support and maintain the Constitution and laws of the United States and the Constitution and laws of North Carolina, not inconsistent therewith,
that I will support and maintain the Constitution and laws of the United States, Constitution of North Carolina, not inconsistent therewith,
and I will faithfully and impartially discharge and execute the duties of my office as a law enforcement officer according to the best of my skill, ability, and judgment, so help me God.
and I will faithfully and impartially discharge and execute the duties of my office as a law enforcement officer according to the best of my skill, abilities, and judgment, so help me God.
All right. Thank you. Congratulations. Congratulations.
Congratulations.
You want to say anything, Paige? Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Paige, I just want to let you know, we're all proud of you here. It's great to see, especially a female officer move up your status. And so we wish you the best. Yes, sir. Yes, ma'am. That's good. Another one there, wasn't it? Thank you all for coming out and supporting Paige. Thank you.
Mayor, I would like to make a motion to approve the consent agenda as presented.
Okay, need a second?
Second.
Got a second by John. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, show like sign. So order. Thanks. Consent agenda. I get a crane to pick that up. Okay, then we'll get back to where we're at here tonight. Tonight we got a couple of proclamations. One of them was First Baptist Church is celebrating 200 years. Your little history there. Started down there, Mount Prospect as settlement along what is now Waynesville's Main Street was existing in 1808 when the North Carolina General Assembly ratified an act to create Haywood County. This settlement was the nucleus of the new county. In 1810, another act of the General Assembly changed the name to Waynesville, which then became county seat of the new county. 13 years later, in 1823, Waynesville Baptist Church was organized with 27 chartered members. Probably Mayor Ford. Yeah, probably Mayor Ford was probably one of those. Later called First Baptist Church of Waynesville, many, if not all members, were active in local government. Their first building was located on the banks of Richland Creek near the present bridge at the intersection of Richland, Miller, Commerce, and Smather Street. They later moved to a new building on Church Street and remained there until 1903, when they again erected a new building on the corner of Main and Academy. In 1952, the present sanctuary was built. So I'll read this proclamation. Now, whereas the town of Waynesville and the First Baptist Church have walked hand in hand for part of 3 centuries, each dealing with Waynesville's problems and fortunes, and through our country's major disasters, including this devastating war between the states. And whereas though all prevailed tribulations, the First Baptist Church has constantly contributed strength and stability to the town and upheld it as both progressed and attractive features of this area became more widely known. And whereas the First Baptist Church has anchored its location in Waynesville Central Business District for all of the 20th century. And whereas the First Baptist Church now looking to the future of Waynesville and recognize its continuing mission in our community. Now, therefore, the town of Waynesville hereby recognize the immeasurable value of this church in the community over the past 200 years. And further, with great pride, do I, as mayor, on the 23rd day of August 2023, express appreciation of a grateful town to a great church for making it of these years count toward an attainment of a noble spirit of community and for its consistent faith in Waynesville's future. Okay, that's great. Anybody here from Waynesville First Baptist Church? Okay, I knew I did a proclamation for them and got it to them there when they were celebrating here a couple of weeks ago. I think it was on the same day John had the thing for the arch. That was the same day that the church were celebrating their 200th year. Okay, move on to 40. We got another proclamation here. This is a proclamation of Constitution Week. Okay. Whereas September the 17th, 2023 marks 236th anniversary of the drafting of the Constitution of the United States of America by the Constitutional Convention. Whereas it is fitting and proper to accord official recognition to this enduring document on this anniversary and to the patriotic celebrations which will commemorate the occasion. And whereas the Public Law 915 guarantees the issuing of a proclamation each year by the President of the United States of America, designating September the 17th through the 23rd as Constitutional Week. Now, therefore, I, Gary Caldwell, by virtue of the authority vested in me as mayor of the town of Waynesville, North Carolina, do hereby proclaim the week of September the 17th through the 23rd as Constitutional Week and ask our citizens to reaffirm the ideas of framers of the Constitution had in 1787 by vigilantly, and that word always gets me, protecting the freedom guaranteed to us through the guardian of our liberties, remembering that loss of rights may never be regained. In witness whereof I have into my hand that the cause of this seal is now to be fixed this the 12th day of September of this year of our Lord 2023. Okay. You know something, guys? I just thought something. You know, we last year, you know, for September the 11th, which September the 11th was Monday, we had a moment of silence. I feel like we still need to do that. So if everybody would stand, I think we should have a moment of silence for what happened on the tragedy that happened on September the 11th. So if everyone would bow their heads for just a moment. Thank you all. Thank you all. Someday I would like to travel up there and see that. I think that would be an experience. Okay, we're down to presentation. We're down to wastewater treatment plant update by the town manager. So please, would you give us an update of the wastewater treatment plant?
Absolutely. That's my favorite presentation. This is going to be a little cumbersome on the board because I'm going to make my presentation to the audience on YouTube. So since y'all know the sewer plant like the back of your hand, you'll know without having me show you where I'm going to be.
I've been there many a time.
I know. That way you can correct me if I get into the treatment plant wrong. Okay, just want to remind you, this is the second update that we're giving on the sewer plant. We had the first one on July 13th. So let me give you a financial update. First of all, the construction contract is $25,705,000. We received an initial state revolving loan of $19,545,000, which left Fort Mississippi with a $6,180,000 gap. We believed that we were going to have to go on the market and borrow that. However, a couple of weeks ago, got notice from the DEQ that we had been awarded an additional $4,877,000 loan to be added to the original state revolving loan. Again, it'll be a 26-year term at 0% interest. That means that our gap has been reduced to only $1,300,000. We hope that as a distressed community, we will find the fall grant cycle to fund that gap, as well as inflow and infiltration grant funds that our special order consent also requires us to carry out. Project is on schedule. Today, we have spent $5,765,083 in drawdowns on the loan, which represents 23% of the entire contract. And the picture that I just sent you is an amazing drone photograph that Tyler Powell made on our behalf. And we used to have to pay $2,000 or $3,000 to have a private plane shoot these kinds of pictures, but we can do it with our own down drone now. And what I'm going to do really briefly is show you from an aerial standpoint where the construction is taking place and what facilities will be repaired and what facilities will be taken out of service. Then I'll move to much more close-up photographs after I finish. This is where the town board has to bear with me. I can point on this screen, but I can't point on your screen. So, wait, where did that arrow come from? Somebody's got an arrow. I bet it's Jesse in the back. So Jesse in the back has done an amazing job. Since I talked to him at 3 o'clock, he has found an arrow. So this is the bar screen that's currently in service, and board members remember that this is where the waste comes into the plant, and this is where the solids like disposable whites that are not disposable get caught by the stream by the ton, and then the sewage moves currently to the primary clarifier. In the new plant, this bar screen will be completely rebuilt in this area right here, and will move to 3 disc primary clarifiers right here. This is both the grit removal pump and the influent pump. These 2 basins will be taken out of service and probably used when we expand the plant to 9 million gallons in the future. But the sewage will move from here into the irrigation basin. We will rebuild the existing aeration basin, and this is where the sewage is mixed with bacteria that are super saturated with air. That's why it's called an aeration basin. And it moves from there to the secondary clarifier, where we are raising the walls and the depth of 12 feet. We'll completely rebuild this secondary aeration basin so that when it reaches here, it will, for all intents and purposes, be treated. That sewage moves to the existing chlorine contact chamber. We are moving from liquid chlorine to sodium hypochlorite for safety reasons. Sodium hypochlorite is better known as swimming pool chlorine. It's solid, we just mix it with water for safety's sake. And it's mixed in here. The chlorine kills the remaining bacteria, goes back to the basin where we inject a chemical that removes the remaining chlorine. And we do that so that the waste that goes into the creek and then into the Mississippi River has no chlorine left in it. We don't want to kill any microbacteria or microorganisms such as crayfish or even smaller organisms with flooring, so there's no flooring in the waste that exits. So that's an overall view. So let me go to an even higher view. This is, as I said, the area out in front. Wait for this area. Oh, there it is. Good for you. So this area right in front of this little round chamber is where the new mechanical bar screen is going to go, and the waste will go into this area. This is where 3 disc filters will further reduce the solids in the waste. We call them, it's a primary disc filter, and it replaces a primary clarifier. We'll use discs to remove the waste. This chamber right here is a sludge pump chamber where the solids from the disc filter will be pumped into here, and it will be pumped all the way across the plant to the sludge handling tank. This little tank right here is simply the valve box operates pumps that will go in this chamber. These chambers are approximately 20 feet deep. Sewage will move from the primary disc filters into the influent pump chamber. The grit that these, that this, and the grit would be solid waste that frankly, your household disposal, biggest issue with grit. A lot of cities have banned disposers. The grit that we catch will go into this chamber, in one of the chambers, and the clear effluent will move from the primary clarifier and be moved across to the aeration basin. Here we have just drained this basin and we're cleaning up the bottom of it so that we can put new aeration in it to again introduce air into the bacteria, and that vastly improves our treatment. To show you how deep the basin is, there's a bobcat right there, and some poor soul's gonna walk down that green ladder, climb that bobcat. They got it scraped. Oh, I guess about 8 inches of sludge into a hopper. We lift it with a crane and dump it in the landfill. So this poor person gets some sort of an award. I'm not sure what we want to give them. But imagine the job that they got to do 6 of these basins.
A lifetime supply of Febreze.
This is getting so excited I can't stand it. This is where the sludge pumps are located. We built a new housing for the sludge. This matches the new 12-foot height of the secondary clarifier. So the waste moves to the secondary clarifier from the aeration basin, and the remaining sludge moves to the bottom, skimmed off and pumped back to the sludge tank, and the clear water that will be coming will go into this area called a flume, go into this area and hit straight to the fluorine contact there.
Rob, isn't the part of the reason for raising those walls to 12 feet, isn't that currently where we have some outflows?
We haven't had any basins actually overflow. The reason is the treatment reason. The basins were originally built for depth, and from a chemical standpoint, that's never been efficient, what they call detention time in the basin. The longer you can keep sewage in a sewer plant, the more you can treat it. So we work for a long detention time. And that's one reason why when we get a lot of inflow, it lowers the detention time and means the sewage that goes out might be more diluted, less treated. So we raise the level from 8 feet to 12 feet to get more detention time in this chamber.
And it's just that secondary is going up to 12 feet. Right?
Yes, it's currently at 8. We'll build this wall right out here, when we finish adding the new machine. So what we'll do is we'll take half of this out of service at a time, renovate it. Just like we're taking the aeration basins down one basin. We haven't really decided yet, but we may take one of the primary clarifiers and convert it to a secondary clarifier. Do that by simply taking 20-inch pipe and running along the surface of the road, pumping it right across the plant to another basin. So we'll be mixing and matching basins as I give you updates over the next year. So that ends update number 2. I know you want to commit that to memory so that when I get to update number 3, you'll be pretty excited. So what questions can I answer?
I would just like to say that, so the disinformation within the community that's being spread, this project is right on course. We are continuing, we are on schedule. And so there's no stall at the facility.
I think that maybe some of this information occurred when we got the original bid. It was way out of our affordability. And so what our engineer did, and have a contractor, and they redesigned that original bid to reduce the bid price by several $1 million. That took 4 or 7 months, and that may be why people thought that we somehow lost time. We did lose time, but we had to do it to bring the price to an affordable level. So that may be where the disinformation. We're clearly moving along. Any citizen that spend a lovely afternoon, me and for any member, always have.
Thank you, Rob.
And
Appreciate that.
completion date.
The completion date is scheduled in December, January. We hope to be there earlier, but we always, when we're dealing especially with equipment purchases, we always have a problem. We have the primary electric box, if you want to call it, a switch box, is out over the year. Those were, we get a promise time and then they promise out. That's why we have the date out as far as.
And Rob, you mentioned the percentage of our budget that we have expended. Are we on track as far as the overall cost? No cost overruns that you.
We had a very early change order of $1,000 and to do an ancient wall that we did not know existed. So out of $29 million, $40,000 change order, we don't take any additional change order. We do have a contingency account built in to the project. Contingency should help us.
Fantastic. Anyone have any further questions for Rob?
Thank you guys so much.
Thank you, Rob.
Thank you.
Okay, we've got public hearings coming up, and so I will ask for a motion to open for a public hearing to consider a text amendment to add an event space as a standalone use in the Land Development Standards LSD.
So moved, Mayor.
Got a motion,
Second.
second by Julia. All in favor, say aye.
Uh,
Opposed, show like sign. And Olga is going to be our presenter. Take it away.
Good evening, Olga Grumman, Land Use Administrator. For 2035 land use plan, we have established an ad hoc railroad subcommittee that consisted of planning board members, some community and business representatives, and we even included the Blue Ridge Southern. So during the research, our subcommittee identified a gap in zoning ordinances. The event space was not listed anywhere, and we did see quite a bit of properties with potential. Also, development services have been getting some questions about the use of the property as an event space. So we went ahead and created a text amendment to define an event space in the ordinance so we can regulate it. However, at this point, the planning board wishes not to allow it in any district except the railroad overlay, which will be established later on. And the reason behind it is that because even though event spaces are generally compatible with other social, residential, civic uses, they may create impacts like noise, trash, parking. So what the planning board wants to do is only to allow it in this flexible new railroad overlay district once it's established via a special use permit procedure, which is a quasi judicial procedure, so that the planning board can look at each proposed event venue individually. And we will not allow it anywhere at any other district for this reason at this point. However, in the future, if anybody is interested, the property owners can come with a text amendment and try to establish that use, and that will be considered on a case-by-case basis. So with that, let's dive right into that. So this is the use as it's not allowed in the existing districts right now. The event space would be defined as an establishment that is available to the general public for hosting weddings, receptions, conferences, parties, business meetings, banquets, social gatherings, or similar indoor or outdoor events. And the additional standards for the event spaces will be as an event space may be a primary or secondary use of the property. In either case, it must be allowed in the underlying zoning district. And the reason is because we do have some allowances for events in bed and in inns and bed and breakfasts, and we don't want people to all of a sudden take over the limit, because in bed and breakfast you can only have 4 for the guests, and the inns you can have up to 12. So we don't want people to use it as a leeway. That's why it's distinguished. Screening: an outdoor area of an event space shall be buffered by type C buffer from any lot containing a church, a school, or any residential district adjacent or across the street, private road. Type C buffer is our least opaque, semi-opaque buffer, and we thought it would be fair just to screen some sensitive properties. Parking: the LDS 9.2.1 standards apply. Vehicles attending employed by an event cannot block the streets, create traffic congestion, or unsafe situations, or park in the public right-of-way or undesignated areas. So generally, for the commercial uses, we require 1 parking spot per 600 square feet, but we made it clear that people cannot create congestion either. Noise: all events must comply with the town of Waynesville noise ordinances. Trash: all events must contain their trash and comply with the town of Waynesville trash pickup ordinances and schedules and other permits. All events must be in compliance with all local, state, and federal regulations and permits, including but not limited ABC permits. And the distinction from off-site events: all events are limited to the property. In addition, if additional activities take place off premise, such as trade, special events outside of your building, tent sales, or other similar events, a temporary use permit must be obtained for each such event. So this concludes the text amendment. The staff submits that it would be consistent with goals number 1 and 5 of the comp plan is to continue to promote smart growth principles in land use planning and zoning, and to create opportunities for a sustainable economy. We presented this text amendment that came out of the subcommittee to the planning board in June. We got the feedback. On July, the planning board held a public hearing and voted unanimously to recommend this text amendment to the town council. That concludes the staff report. Happy to answer any questions.
Okay, anyone on the board have a question for Opal concerning this? Okay, then I will open it up to anyone in the public. If you would like to speak on this matter, would you please raise your hand? Anyone would like to speak on this matter? Okay, then I will.
I'll make a motion to close public hearing.
Okay, second. Got a second by Chuck. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, so like sign. Okay, as she said before, the planning board voted unanimously on this, amendment. So, I will ask anyone for a
Mayor,
motion.
I'd like to make a motion to find that the ordinance is consistent with the 2035 comprehensive plan and that it is reasonable in the public interest, that it continues to promote smart growth principles in land use planning and zoning, and that it encourages infill, mixed use, and context sensitive development.
Okay, got a motion?
Second.
Second by Julia. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, so like sign. We also have a second motion here.
I'd like to make a motion to adopt the ordinance as presented, in that it creates opportunity for sustainable economy, promotes the growth of existing local businesses in Waynesville's microeconomy, promotes Waynesville's downtown district's inns, restaurants, and reputation as the gateway to the smoking.
Got a motion?
Second.
Second by Chuck. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, so like sign. Okay, we'll move on to another public hearing. So I will ask again for a motion to open for a public hearing to consider a text amendment to update the definition of freight hauling truck terminals in section 17.3 of the land development standards.
So moved, Mayor.
Got a motion?
Second.
Second by Julia. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, Ms. Ogle.
This is the public hearing to consider the text amendment to update the definition of freight hauling truck terminals in section 7.3 of the land development standards. This is just a straightforward small amendment. I don't have any visuals for you for that one. While researching some uses for the new railroad district, we found out that freight hauling had the same definition as funeral homes and transportation of the bodies. So we would like to update it because it does have a valid reference to the land-based classification standards by the American Planning Association. So we went back to that document and we would like to propose a simple text amendment in the definition section to define freight hauling truck terminals as establishments in the truck and freight transportation category that provide over-the-road transportation of cargo using motor vehicles such as trucks and tractor trailers. These establishments may handle a variety of commodities, involve local or long-distance trucking, and require specialized equipment due to the size, weight, shape, or other inherent characteristics of the cargo. This is literally almost copy and paste from that reference document. And the staff submits that this text amendment is consistent with goals 1, 5, and 6 of the comp plan, continue to promote smart growth principles in land use planning and zoning, create opportunities for sustainable economy, create an attractive, safe, and multimodal transportation system.
Okay, any questions from the board concerning this text amendment? Okay, I will again open it up to the public. If anyone would like to speak on this subject, would please raise your hand. Okay, then
I'll make a motion to close public hearing.
Second. A motion second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, show like sign. Again, we have two motions here. I will,
I'll make a motion to find that the ordinance is consistent with the 2035 comprehensive plan and that it's reasonable in the public interest, and that it continues to promote smart growth principles in land use planning and zoning, and that it is encouraging infill, mixed use, and context sensitive development.
okay, we got a motion.
Second.
A second by Chuck. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, show like sign.
Bear with me on this one. I'd like to make a motion to adopt the ordinance as presented, in that it creates opportunity for sustainable economy, promotes the growth of existing local businesses in Waynesville's microeconomy. It creates an attractive, safe, and multimodal transportation system, provides an interconnected transportation network of roadways, freight, mobility, bicycle routes, and sidewalks that improve safety and strategic access for all users.
Again, we have a motion.
Second.
A second by Chuck. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, show like sign. We get a money's worth out of using that. So
Yes.
definitely. So again, I will ask for a motion to open for public hearing to consider another text amendment to establish a railroad overlay district and its uses in sections 2.5.3 and 2.6 of the land development standards.
So moved, Mayor.
Got a motion?
Second.
Second by Julie, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Okay, take it away, Ms. Oates.
Public hearing to consider a text amendment to establish a railroad overlay district. As mentioned earlier, we did have a railroad subcommittee for 5 months. We worked on various goals of the comp plan. And the reason behind the railroad overlay is because underutilized rail corridors represent opportunities for development. They serve as gateways to town, especially in business districts of Hazelwood areas and Frog Level. And we did take tours, and there are many underutilized vacant properties. So all this resonates with the goals of comp plan, which you can see in staff report. Throughout the document, there are various references to the railway corridor and economic redevelopment, promote redevelopment along the corridor, preserve industrial uses along the corridor, create an overlay district, policy for track adjacent and greenway adjacent development to allow more housing and mixing of uses, reuse of underutilized industrial commercial properties. The proposed design utilized strategic infill development, includes a railroad track adjacent development and the compatible integration of diverse and multiple uses, leverage the low vacancy rate in downtown, study implement the railroad overlay district to encourage redevelopment along the railroad, especially in areas with access to existing and future greenways, review the LDS to create opportunities within the town of Waynesville industrial areas and along the corridor. So with that being said, we created the railroad overlay district and its standards. So the first step is to create a district on paper, if you will. This is just like we have a definition. What is overlay district? What is historic district? And once they're established, the next step is actually apply them to the map. So the map application is in the workshop planning board right now. But we did bring the subcommittee work to them. The subcommittee work on June 19th and got their feedback from the planning board. And in July, they also voted unanimously. So this is the work of a lot of research in our planning board and some community members. And with that, so I'll present the text amendment. So the table will just reference, it's not going to be on the table, it's an overlay, we don't reference them, but because it's a special district, we'll just reference the special standard. There will be right with the historic district overlay and then the railroad. So the goal of this district is to promote more flexibility to develop these properties. So because there are a lot of underutilized properties, some business owners give some ideas what can be done. We looked at the uses and their impacts. We wouldn't want zoning to be a problem in creating the business at the same time when we consider the surrounding areas. So therefore, we defined the district. So the purpose of the railroad overlay district is the railroad overlay is a zoning overlay district created with the purpose of implementing the goals of the 2035 comprehensive land use plan to encourage redevelopment along the railroad corridor and to create opportunities within the town of Waynesville's industrial areas. The goal of the railroad overlay is to provide more zoning flexibility and promote economic vibrancy of the underutilized areas along the rail tracks. Development standards, all development standards, including but not limited to density, setback, height of the underlying district apply. So we are not changing any zoning, all this will apply. So what we did is create the flexibility of the uses. And here I will dwell more on that. All the uses allowed in the underlying district remain exactly as they are noted in the table of permitted uses. So we are not taking any uses away. They're staying as they are. In case of a conflict with the table below, which is additional uses that we added for that district. The use as noted for the underlying district and the LDS will prevail. And additional uses for the overlay as specified in the table below. If the use is not allowed in the underlying district but is noted in the table below, then it is permitted. So, and this is an example, I'll explain how it works because it's, yeah, a lot of details there. So we're not taking anything away. And here is an example. For example, the commercial industrial district becomes part of the overlay. Net area, right? They are allowed by right. By hauling trucks, services, their special use permit. In this case, commercial industrial will still have it by right. We're not making it part of the space like yard. But central business district is not allowed. So if this property, central business district, is part of the overlay, all of a sudden will be allowed for the special use. So that's how this table will work. And I will go through the uses that the planning board proposed to add to the areas in overlay. And again, this is just establishing on paper. Actual properties, we're just working on it right now with the planning board, but they're looking at central business district in the frog level, and they're looking at Hazelwood business district as well. So these are the areas they have in mind. But technically, somebody can come and petition to apply it to other areas once this is established on paper. So the board would like to allow single family, two family, townhome, cottage, multifamily by right. And again, in the majority of districts that's allowed everywhere except commercial industrial. It just to reiterate, accessory dwelling allowed special standards, family care homes, halfway homes, home occupations, live work units allowed with special standards. Manufactured home parks will be allowed with a special use permit through the quasi-judicial procedure. Manufacturing housing would be allowed with additional standards. Residential care facilities, hotels, personal services, such as barbershops and whatnot, professional services will be allowed by right. Event space will be allowed with a special use permit. Commercial neighborhood restrooms will be allowed by right. Vehicle car sales and major body work will be allowed with some additional standards. Outdoor amusements, billiard, pool hall will be allowed by right. Freight haul and truck terminals and mini warehouses such as storage units would be allowed via special use permit. Storage, warehouse, manufacturing light, such as breweries, produce stands in conjunction with crop production allowed by right. And wireless communication facilities, mini macro allowed with standards, and towers with a special use permit. And this is not just a random pick of uses. We went through the district. Many of these uses are already allowed in central business districts, so just some additional ones, especially for commercial, industrial. And the board was really careful when they were looking, can we afford to have freight hauling along the railroad? Would that be danger? Would railroad get that? So things like that. So we took a lot of factors into consideration, but this is for your discussion. Yeah, questions or suggestions, comments, eliminations.
Questions for Olga?
I'd really like to thank the planning board. I know that we started on this 4 years ago when I was on the planning board, so to see it come to fruit after all these years is very encouraging. I'd like to thank all the development team as well for all their hard work. So thank you.
Thank you. Yeah, we started on that quite a bit ago too. Just took a while to get committee.
Yes.
This was also unanimous vote by the planning board. Okay. Again, I will open it up to the public that anyone would like to speak. Would please raise your hand concerning the amendment. Okay, with no one wanting to speak, then I will need a motion to close.
I'll make a motion to close the public hearing.
Second.
Second by Judy. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, the like sign. Okay, again, there are
Yes,
also
Mayor, I'd
two.
like to make a motion to find that the ordinance is consistent with the 2035 comprehensive plan and that it's reasonable in the public interest and that it continues to promote smart growth principles in land use planning and zoning, encourages infill, mixed use, and context sensitive development, study, implement a railroad overlay district to encourage redevelopment along the railroad corridor, especially in areas with access to existing and future greenways.
Okay, got a motion.
Second,
Second by Julia. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay,
I'd like to make a motion to adopt the ordinance as presented in that it creates opportunity for a sustainable economy, promotes the growth of existing local business of Waynesville's maker economy, promotes Waynesville's downtown districts, inns, restaurants, and reputation as the gateway to the Smokies, and it reviews the LDS to create opportunities within the town of Waynesville's industrial areas and along the railroad corridor.
Second.
all right, got a motion and a second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? So like sign. Okay. Thank you so much, Ms. Snowden. The town is very, very fortunate to have folks like you doing this work. So we appreciate you so much for the work that you put into this. Okay, we'll move up to new business. Does anyone want to take a break or anything, or you want to keep moving? Keep moving? Okay, I just want to make sure
Thank you.
I checked with everyone in case we want to take a 2-minute break. Okay, we'll move on to new business and Ms. Karen. Ms. Karen's up. It's a resolution pertaining to the town's 1,009,543 community block grant. So if you would please explain that for us.
I can explain that, and the two applications are going to support it. The first part is you have been completed all the documents that you were required to be awarded those funds, and you now have a grant number on the existing sewer improvements that are going to be along Sawyer Street. There is some training that this town staff will have to go to in that process, and I believe that is all that is left to move forward and procure the services that you need to get the project moving forward. So that one is, we would say, in hand at this point. Just a training left. So you did submit all the necessary documents that were required as part of the grant startup. So now we're here to see if to submit the applications to get the rest of the just under $3 million. So this was $1,905,543, I believe, off the top of my head, not reading the documents. So there are two resolutions that need to be passed tonight to submit the other two applications, and I'm going to do it without having to put you through the process of me reading the resolutions. I'm saving you on that one. So I pretty well can do this off the top of my head. So the first resolution is to identify the funds that we're requesting. Is 100% grant from the Department of Commerce, Division of HUD, Housing Urban Development, to support the sewer infrastructure along Hendricks Street, Franklin Street, and Muse Street. This is utilizing the information that we secured last year, or early this spring, in the door-to-door surveys. The other part of this is the board approving authorizing the town manager, Rob Heights, to sign all the documents associated with this application so that we can move forward and have this application submitted by October the 2nd. The second one, and the final one, is that the part of the resolution is stating that the town will comply with all federal and state regulatory requirements associated with the grant funds and state guidelines. The second resolution is for the water side of the project, which is a second resolution authorizing, we're submitting an application for water improvements along Sawyer Street from the intersection of Hendrick Street to the end of Sawyer Street, including water lines water connections to the individual housing units that are income eligible, and bringing in 4 new hydrants. So it will make that water service individuals that were previously or would be previously, if we get the funds, on a 2-inch line, and this will bring them up to state and town standards on water service. And there will be meters at every single housing unit. So it really brings the community up to current standards. And again, we're in the documents, we're stating that the board will follow all federal and state regulatory requirements, and that you are authorizing Rob Heights to be the signatory for the application, and if funded, signing all documents associated with the application, associated with the grant. And if I came close, I hope I did. And what the resolution details, Rob, did I get it?
You got it.
All right.
I move that we pass the resolution as outlined by Ms. Keena and as outlined or specifically set forth in our agenda packet.
That was resolution 1823, the develop and implements the stormwater utility project resolution in form for certification by the recording officer. So I'll second.
No second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, shall like sign. And there's also a
We have
second
to do
motion.
the second one, which is I'd like to make a motion to approve resolution 17-23, development and implement a new stormwater utility project resolution in form of certification by the recording officer.
Second?
Second, Julia, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, shall like sign. Okay, thank you, Ms. James.
That's
You
it.
have
And
worked.
You don't have
Really,
to see
really
me
hard.
again between now and October the 2nd. We're done.
It seems like we've seen you almost every meeting, so, which is a delight.
Okay, thank you.
That grant writer position is still open.
Thank you.
I'm serious. Okay,
I have to get 3 out the door
okay.
by Friday, so.
Yeah. Well, thank you so much for your hard work put into this for a great cause. Okay, we have now, the appointments for the Environmental Sustainability Commission. I will turn that over to our Councilman Chuck Dixon.
Yes, we've received a number of applications which have been forwarded to the board. We actually got one from Betsy Wall, and we got an additional one today from Mary Taylor. What I would like to do is to nominate 10 members of the board and then to interview a couple. To interview Jeffrey Burkhalter and Mary Taylor, who have submitted applications to see if they would be appropriate for the board. I'll be glad to interview them if someone else would like to join with. We could do that. So
John, you're the EV man.
Sign me up.
Yep, just let him know.
okay,
Yeah.
all right then.
You two.
We'll work on that. So what I would like to do is I'd like to go ahead and nominate 10 members of the board. William
Okay.
Wright, Reed Conway, I'll give you these, Candace.
Yeah, please.
David Henderson, Kay Kirkman, Perna Kishavia, with an alternate of Casey Brown to fill in when she's absent. And I've explained to the board they're a married couple. They work together on projects, and they indicated that would work really well for them, that one could be there when the other could. Michael Boss, Buffy Queen, Keith Ray, Paul Carlson, and Betsy Wall. And that would be the 10 members of the commission I would nominate.
You have one that fill in for someone of the.
Right, that was the Casey Brown,
That was the Casey.
filling in for Aparna.
Or opponent, yeah, okay. Yeah, I read that last time. It did give me there. Okay, he's got a motion for appointing these 10 members. Does anyone like to second that motion?
I'll second.
John, second that motion? I have a question for you. Before we pass it, I passed a Jaguar today that said EV.
There's an
Does that mean
Jaguar.
electric vehicle? I had
Yes.
initials EV.
Sure.
A Jaguar Sports Utility.
Yes.
All right, Mom, I'll get out of my. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? So,
It would also be appropriate to appoint a council member to serve on that board. the manager serves as a ex officio or a non-voting member or his designee, but it would be appropriate to appoint a council member. I would volunteer myself for that position
Okay.
if you would.
I'd like to make a motion to appoint,
He's got a lot of work.
Councilmember, Dixon to the Sustainability Commission.
And I'm sorry, it's board instead of commission. We put commission in the minutes, but it should be Environmental Sustainability Board.
Okay.
I'll
Okay,
second that one.
got a second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? So like sign.
Thank you very much. These folks are, some of them very eager to get started, so we'll get going with this thing. I did want to mention, and they're, again, you've read the applications. They're an accomplished, talented, smart group of folks. And,
Yeah.
we are lucky to have these folks. If you look at all of them, one of them is in the kind of the Clyde area or this side of Clyde. The rest of them are actually in the Waynesville area. They may not all be residents of Waynesville. They are residents of outlying areas, if not in the town themselves. I just wanted to mention one other thing, which is, and we don't have any of the details yet, but this is something that's going to be coming next year. I've mentioned heating assistance and cooling assistance. There is a website people can go to. It's called Rewiring America. And if you Google Rewiring America calculator, you can put in your zip code and your income and find out what you are eligible for in terms of heating and cooling assistance. Basically, if your household income is $70,000 or less, you are entitled to up to $14,000 in free assistance. We're talking about $8,000 for heat pumps, $4,000 for electrical panels, and $840 or $60 for an electric stove or oven. There's insulation, ventilation help. So this program is being administered by the State Energy Office. They have not set up all the standards and everything, but should be available either end of this year or first of next year. So I just want to let everybody know to keep your eyes and ears open for this, which could have a dramatic effect on the lives and homes of many people in the town of Waynesville.
For sure.
This is something that the Sustainability Board wants to push. It's not a real project, but it's something we'd like to let people know about and try to engage as many people as possible in that effort.
Watch out.
Yeah. Anyway, just want to let you know. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Chuck, for heading that up for us there. Okay, we'll move on to item 12, interview logistics for Waynesville housing. That would be Jesse Fowler.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
I did that work.
Thank you. The Waynesville Housing Authority currently has one vacancy. We have an applicant that has applied, and per the board's council's policy to interview statutorily required boards and commissions. I am here to just kind of see which one of the council members would like to interview this member. There's been a couple that we've been doing this for a while now, so there's been a couple that have interviewed housing, planning, and zoning, and they've kind of swapped it up a little bit. So staff is looking for direction on who is going to interview them and when are some available times. We'll reach out and set it up.
Mr. Mayor, I'd be glad to help out. I'm wondering in this particular case, the applicant is Ryan Newell, who is the director of Habitat, Haywood Habitat for Humanity. He was their construction supervisor before that. Now he will be taking the place of Jamie Shepard, who was the Habitat director, who was on the board. I'm wondering if it would be appropriate for me to move to waive the interview process for him.
I know you're speaking.
I agree.
100%.
And I know him, and I know that I would vote for him or approve his
Absolutely.
application. So I'll make that motion to waive our policy of interviewing for this position. And I'm fine with Well, let's make that motion for,
Okay,
Second.
second by Anthony. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
and I'm comfortable going ahead and nominating him for the
Okay.
position.
If you would let,
I'll do that.
let him know then that he's been, approved for that.
Following a motion of approval.
Yeah, I've made a motion to do that.
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay,
That's
thanks,
all.
Jason. All right, we'll move on to third. Haywood County TDA request for council to endorse organization of Product Development Committee. Rob Heights, will speak on that, and I've also asked John to follow up
Thank you.
on that
We
too.
we received a memo from Karina Ruffer and, announcing a reorganization of PDA.
Yeah.
They are, developing an RFP to provide technical assistance and creating a new tourism master plan. The plan will develop a cohesive strategy to leverage the county's unique cultural history and natural resources. A product development committee will be established to help develop the strategy. The committee will consist of 2 to 4 county tourist development board members with an additional 6 community representatives. And in addition to these members, the manager of each town and the county manager will be appointed to that committee as well. As I understand it, this new organization does away with current 1% committees and the final say-so on all grants and proposals will be the PDA board themselves, not the committees, as I understand it. So I'm giving a report on behalf of the TDA.
Okay, I will ask John if he would follow up on that because he is, our member from the board on that TDA board. John, do you have any comments? for that?
So, let me preface all of this by saying, there is much that is unknown. It was, to my knowledge, I had, due to work commitments, I've missed, a couple of meetings. But at the last meeting, this was proposed and I fully support the development of this tourism master plan. My concern, and I voiced this during the meeting, is the abolishment of the 1% committee essentially hamstrings Waynesville in that currently there are the 1% committee is staffed by 3 volunteers. Me and 2 other folks, and we would review the applications for grants for 1% money. And we would rate those applications and decide collectively whether to fund those applications and at what level. Okay, works very well. The other 2 folks that are on the committee are vested in Waynesville, and I personally could not find any reason to not continue with that process. Okay,
Sounds
it
like
worked
it was-
well for Waynesville, as far as in my mind.
Sounds very, very fair.
Okay, and so here is my concern, and again, preface this by saying there is much that is unknown. But if we do away with that committee in favor of a group of 6 or 8 people who are making decisions on how to spend money that Waynesville generated, I have a problem with that. Okay? In other words, right now, 3 people decide for Waynesville alone, and those recommendations go to the full board, and the full board actually signs off on them or not. And so going forward, it won't be 3 people dedicated to Waynesville. It will be 4 or 5 members plus others that would make those decisions. And I personally feel like, and again, I said this in the board meeting, that Waynesville's influence over how to spend our money becomes diluted at that point. Okay? I am a member, was appointed to the product development committee. And I believe town managers and county managers would be a member of that committee as well. So at this point, I would have problems moving forward to do anything that would abolish the 1% committee as it currently stands, because I think it works.
Okay.
John, can I ask, is there a reason that we've not gotten more grants as the town of Waynesville?
I think that the Downtown Waynesville Commission, for instance, has received numerous grants. I do believe that the transition from the DWA to the DWC and getting Beth fully integrated into her role had an impact on that. And there is only so much money to go around. Okay. And so I do feel like that the committee, the 1% committee, has been overwhelmingly receptive to grant applications from the town of Waynesville and the Downtown Waynesville Commission. And I would certainly look forward to that continuing. I think those grants do a whole heck of a lot of good
For sure.
in this town. For example, one of the things that we recently funded was that Fairwater's mural on the side of their new building. We funded the soda jerks, that mural. We're funding a mural down the alley between the old brick house and the whatever that real estate. I'm not even sure what they are now, but it's going to be absolutely phenomenal. And so that money that is legitimately should flow to the town of Waynesville to 2878685. And in this particular proposal, as I see it so far, I don't feel like Waynesville would have the influence over those decisions that we currently have.
The way I see it is that the committee would consist of 2 to 4 HCPTA board members, an
Correct.
additional 6 community representatives, and town managers from each municipality and someone from the county board. And the reason I think they want to have a broad representation is that it would, as she says, it would ensure the cohesive alignment between the town's specific needs and the broader goals of the tourism master plan. And it does indicate. Well, I'm sorry.
Completely support that.
Right.
Okay. I think in some ways that, the opportunity for the what is happening in Waynesville to be kind of cohesive with what's happening in the rest of the county is an absolutely laudable goal. It's just the question of who is making decisions on how to spend Waynesville's money, is my concern at this point. I'm not saying that I would never support this. And again, part of my hesitancy is because there is a lot that is unknown at this point. We haven't even met as a committee. So I do support the establishment of the product development committee. Certainly support creating the new tourism master plan. But when it comes to how to spend money, Waynesville's money, I think Waynesville should be in the driver's seat in those decisions.
Sure. I don't disagree with that, but I think what they're trying to accomplish is to have some cohesion across.
Did the full TDA board vote to establish this?
Yes.
Okay. And did you vote for that?
Yeah, I did,
Okay.
to support the establishment of the product development committee.
Okay.
But
And you would be on that committee, right?
I am,
And
correct,
Rob would be on the committee.
correct.
So we would have two representatives, at least from the town.
Out of,
Plus,
Out
an additional person from the zip code.
out of 10.
Is there anything that prohibits a 1% committee giving advice in the future?
They would be gone.
Well, my understanding is that the 1% committee could still operate if it wanted to and give advice.
Mm,
I think it's turning all of that over to this.
Well, when I talked to the director of the TDA, she said that would be the case.
I personally would think that a committee that would almost have no ability to make decisions would be an awfully difficult ask of people. I would have personally trouble sitting on a 1% committee that essentially has no authority to make decisions on how to spend the money.
I
At
have
this
some,
point in time, the 1% committee just made recommendations to the finance committee. And the
That
finance
is
committee actually made the decisions. And the
100%.
people on that board on that committee were the ones that made the decisions.
You
on how to
are
spend the money.
100% correct.
And we have had very poor representation,
On
at least
what committee?
on the finance committee.
I was on the finance committee until this past year.
Right. Well, I was talking
and-
about this particular year. When I went, I noticed that the Maggie was well represented, but our folks who lived in our zip code area were not really familiar with the applications that were filed.
it's
I
based
think
on.
we might get better results this way. And I also think that, okay, well, let me ask you this. The TDA board has already approved this. What are we being asked to do?
Endorse the organization of the product
Uh-huh.
development committee.
Okay, and if we don't endorse it, what does that mean?
Nothing,
Okay,
as far as I know.
Right.
I personally would like to find a way to endorse establishment of this committee. But I object to the dilution of Waynesville's voice as far as how to spend our money. And to your point about the finance committee and ultimately the full TDA board making decisions on how to spend that money, you are absolutely correct. But in a lot of ways, I mean, I could be wrong, but I don't remember a specific example of a massive divergence between what the 1% committee recommended and what was ultimately approved.
Yeah, you're correct, about that. The,
Now, this is based on zip code, which, as we know, the zip code just, Waynesville only consists of 8.9 square miles, which is small, but the zip codes are tremendous.
Right.
Which goes all the way out to Jonathan Creek. So it could,
785,
yeah,
it seems the idea of this is to really, bring the county together and whatever benefits one zip code benefits the other zip codes. And Waynesville has the restaurants and the stores and all that, and the activities for people to go to. Maggie has the places for people to stay. And so I think we're looking at a real comprehensive effort to try to work together. Bringing the managers into it is also a good idea because they know about the funds that our towns have and that sort of thing. I'm fine with endorsing it. Again, I don't think it really matters because the TDA board's going to do this anyway. So, I understand what you're saying, John. I mean, we want to make sure that we have all the representation we can have. I think having you and Rob on the board will be great. I mean, I think that's wonderful representation. In fact, it may even be more than we've had to a certain extent. You know, it's apples and oranges, but
it's new for you stepping up on,
Yeah.
putting managers on the board.
Yeah, as you know, the managers have been a working group with the TDA board as long as I've been here, and we've principally been involved with creating the wayfinding, the countywide wayfinding program. That we've had periodic lunches with Lynn well before Karina got here, and talked. And what we're most interested in is making sure that the city's recreation programs are reflected in the tourist packages, the product packages that are offered. We want to make sure that Canton is represented for their outdoor pool and their bikes. We're represented with our indoor pool, our greenways, our recreation center. That Lake Junaluska is represented with the 4 mile walk around the lake. And we don't necessarily think they've been as publicized as they should, because tourism, we put a lot of tax money in those, and we love to see the tourists use them. And that's one thing the managers are trying to do, is to plug our recreation program into the tourist experience.
Okay. I'll leave it up to you guys for a motion in whatever order you feel. John?
I'm setting my piece.
You want to alternate that?
I am interested in what the council wants to do.
okay. I think that they're trying to do something on a grand scale. And I don't want to come out of the gate having some animosity with the board by saying we don't agree with what they're trying to do. And you have very valid points. I think we may actually get more representation this way. The issue is that it's going to happen whether we agree with it or not.
right.
So it's better to come at it with a
Step up.
open hand than to work with them.
Okay, someone give me a motion.
I'll make a motion to endorse the plan or endorse whatever. We're endorse the concept of the project development committee and the appointment of the manager as a member.
Okay, does anyone second?
I'll second.
We got a motion and a second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, so right sign. So ordered then.
And John, I appreciate your.
Please, yeah, John,
to the attention.
being there, he recognizes, and I kind of see it point there, you get so many people involved in it, that this wants to do this way and one wants to give this way, and you got less people on there, you can make a lot of decisions easier without putting everybody else.
Part of the, apparently, and obviously I've never sat in on any other,
Yeah.
3 or 1% committee. But, as some of the comments that were made at the meeting, indicated that other 1% committees don't necessarily work as well as our 1% committee.
Yeah.
And so, I think that was probably, something that influenced this and,
To make a change.
yeah.
I think there's one other benefit is it now relieves these 1% subcommittees of needing to comply with the open meetings law, which they probably should have been doing all along.
Possibly.
And it makes it so that when two members of the subcommittee have a talk about things, that they're actually having an official meeting, which they would need to notice. So I think it simplifies that also. This, and I've been really pleased with what the TDA is doing now with Karina Rufu, and her last name is Ruffier, okay. Karina, and the new chair, Jim.
We just talked about that.
Alderman Maggie Valley.
Jim
Owens, yeah.
Yeah.
And he has a wealth of experience in the tourism
Oh my
field, so
goodness,
I think I'm really pleased with the way things are going, and it's becoming much more open, and he's a good transparent these days.
I like it. Yeah. Okay, then we'll move on here to communication from our staff. And Rod, you first up for
Yes, sir.
anything you have to
I
bring
have
before the
a couple
board.
very positive things. First of all, our fire department applied for and received a $185,928 grant. That's well in excess of a penny on our tax rate. They will be replacing 20 air packs.
Yeah.
That, as you can tell, is a substantial hit for us, and we applaud the fire department for drafting that grant and pushing it through.
That's great.
And I'd also have the distinct pleasure of introducing Paige McCurry to us. She is our new HR director. You have to be here 5 years before you're no longer new. And I'd like to say she comes from Macon County Department of Social Services, where she was their HR director. She has a BA from Pembroke University and is an MPA student at Pembroke as well. She didn't just hit the ground running. She absolutely just has flown by. In just a couple of weeks, she's added 4 new recruiting sites to our list, and we are already getting application sites that I frankly didn't know existed.
Thank
you. Met with all the departments, and she's is still holding listening session with employees. She's online job application, which has been a disaster ever since I tried to apply on it. Sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. Sometimes you hit the submit button and it goes blank and you have to you fill it out again. She has already fixed that. As you know, one of my personal goals was to try to find a supervisory trainer for our line level supervisors. In about 4 days, she knew of one, personal friend of one, and she scheduled supervisory training for all our line level employees for October 12th in an all-day session. So she completed one of my personal goals. She is working and currently to rewrite our employee handbook, and when she comes up for air, she's going to tackle the entire personnel handbook. And while she was doing all of this, she even had to stop
for a day to conduct a disciplinary proceeding. So we threw in there really quick, and she handled that with considered professionality, and we are enjoying having her. We hope you'll drop by and say hello, and she'll certainly be making presentations before the board. Jesse Fowler is a new man, not having to do HR anymore. He smiles when he comes to work in the morning. So she's, we want to thank the mayor for lending us his office while we redesign these two back offices in here to hold the HR director and Brittany.
It's my pleasure. And we welcome you. On
Absolutely.
behalf of this
Welcome.
board, we welcome you to our town of Waynesville family.
She comes to us from Franklin. I've been trying to get her to carpool with the police chief.
Oh, yes.
Yeah.
He's got a cot in his office, so yeah.
I don't know how she does it. She's raising a family of 4 and a
She is.
husband and driving here and going to school and,
If I had 4 kids, I'd be running the personnel department at home.
Oh, yeah.
That's why
Yeah,
she's
for
so
sure.
Yeah.
Again, we welcome. Okay, well, is that, you have anything else,
No,
sir?
sir.
Okay, town attorney, do you have anything else you'd like to bring before?
Yeah.
Okay. Board members, do you have any, Chuck, start on your end this time?
yeah, just briefly, we already approved Travis Talent on the, zoning board, I believe.
Okay.
If you've read his application, he's the former clerk of the town of Franklin. He ran their wastewater treatment plant at one point in time. He's in HR now at Haywood Hospital, and he lives right here in Waynesville. And so he's it's a really talented
Yeah.
person we've got, an ideal member of the Board of Zoning Adjustment. So
Wow.
we're lucky to have him. I just wanted to mention that because
Great
he's,
news. Thanks for
we were,
the-
I mean, Anthony.
I was
here,
very
and
impressed.
it was kind of, it was really nice.
Julie, do you have anything?
Just don't forget about the dog show.
Sorry.
Yeah, no, that's a different one, but the dog show for the Public Arts
Okay.
Commission is the 24th of this month, so it'll be before our Art Theater, yes,
Art
before our
Theater.
next meeting. So yeah, it'll be fun. It'll be on Sunday, the 24th, and so
Okay.
it's a laugh a minute.
Is it a laugh?
It is.
Do they dress them up?
There's costumes, there's look-alike, there's lots of different categories, and it's really it's a fun day. So
Okay. I really don't have anything, John.
I would just like to thank the council for coming to our groundbreaking. It was remarkably successful. I don't know how much money we've raised total.
It's getting really
and
close, isn't it?
Only because I can't keep up. Every time I open my email, we're notified that we've gotten thousands of dollars.
Wow.
And so
It's gonna be great. Yeah, it's gonna be really, really great.
yeah, we are having a pre-construction meeting on
Okay.
Thursday.
Wow.
And we're meeting with the fabricator, town manager, and engineer, and public works, and Buzz has come down, so we're gonna make some plans, and that would be the official kickoff where we write the deposit check, and then from that point, it's about a 4-month swing.
Yeah.
We've been told, and so if we don't have all the money now, I'd honestly be surprised. So
It was going good
Great
because
job.
when I was in there, Teresa's, the other day that said that it's getting really close.
Yeah.
He didn't tell me how much or
Yeah.
whatever.
it's been a couple of days since I sat down and plugged in the latest donations in my spreadsheet, but
Yeah.
and it's my head spinning.
Yeah.
And I will say that, that does not surprise me at all.
The citizens has always come through on.
They have, and the outpouring of just joy that this project is going to bring, and is bringing to so many in this community just warms my heart. And the fact that last I heard, we had well over 100 individual donors, many of them at the $5,000 level.
Man,
And it's, we've received donations from Texas, I think, way out Greensboro. I saw one from Washington DC, the state of New York, and so
is that like former folks that lived here or,
I would suspect so. And
or have family?
yeah, and or experience that arch, back in the 60s and 70s, and
It's gonna put some smiles on faces, I'm
Yeah.
telling you.
Yep.
Yeah.
So, the next step, hopefully y'all, will be able to, um, do a unveiling, in the next several months. Like I said, it's a 4-month fabrication process, and when we actually, would unveil it officially, I think we're still trying to decide. For example, if the original arch was started, I think, in May, in late May, and then on into the early part of June. And so if we could somehow time our kind of unveiling to that,
Around
I
the
think
same
would be,
time.
would be real special. But
Was
it
it
just-
April or something like that?
Yeah.
71, 72?
well, in 33, it was late May, early April when they constructed.
That's when it
And-
come down.
Yeah, I
The
don't
71
know.
or
We're not real sure when it came down, although, if we could determine that, that would be
Another
maybe
good day to put it back
Yeah,
up, wouldn't it?
yeah. So we're working on, those kinds of details, and we certainly appreciate the council's support, and really looking forward to the day when that thing is, you'll be able to come down, from the top of the hill there and see that arch
see that
right
arch.
with the mountains.
Yeah, awesome.
Yeah.
Another beautification thing, I noticed is they got the new street lights up at the East Waynesville roundabout.
Oh, did they?
They're beautiful. I mean,
Wow.
they're beautiful. It's, I haven't figured out how this thing's gonna work yet. But it looks like it's gonna work fine.
Yeah.
But Anthony?
Just want to thank everyone for the video. Thank you.
And I was gonna ask Jesse a logistical question about that. About the streaming, how does this work when you go on our
Go
website?
to youtube.com/@town-of-Waynesville.
Okay.
I don't know if the app, the URL.
It is.
Okay, but it's not on
At
the
one
website.
point, we had 3 people watching already.
Okay.
One of them, me, you.
And one was Elizabeth. See, there we go.
Yeah, so
We're already.
Will there be a link? Will there be a link on the website to the
So
YouTube?
what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna take the URL where it's going for the panel, put that on the website. It's gonna exist there, so when you click on the link, when you click on the link, not having a live stream for all the videos stored anyway.
Okay.
So you can view this more than tonight.
Continuously.
Oh, yeah.
You
Yes.
can view it at any time.
It's in
Thank you,
perpetuity.
Becky.
You will, for the rest, yes.
Shoot, I'll give it to you personally if you want to see it.
And you don't
twice.
have to smell it, Becky.
Now.
I will say, the noise from the crowd, it was nice tonight, can't really tell. Those mics, so sensitive during testing, the noise from the crowd heavily inside of the team. Got a meeting with our AD and all that. I tried to fix it.
These appear to be omnidirectional microphones. You may need.
I'm gonna let him look at it and try to figure it out. I pressed the button all the time to figure it out. Repeat what I did.
You may also ask him if we lapel microphones would probably. Very good. Sorry.
Next meeting, I'll do a little
Or
bit.
dog collars.
He should be able to fix it. I'm gonna let him figure out how to keep the line system. I've only had to make one change. I wrote it.
Thank you.
And
Thank
when I
you
do
for
the
all your
welcome next time,
comments.
I'll welcome the folks that's watching by way of internet.
Oh, that's good. That's a good idea.
Next time, that's the way we do it at church.
Yeah. That's
So
very good.
I'll do it a little more.
Yeah.
I was different when we do that.
Baby steps.
Okay, with that, everything said, then, I'll ask for a motion to adjourn.
Mr. Mayor, I move that we adjourn.
I got a motion by Julia.
Second.
Second.
I'm sorry.
Chuck, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, so like sign.
And you should see it go.
Question for Black. So
We all.